Hello.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. It's just one of those. For you guys, it's gonna be a Friday. For us, it's a Thursday
Morning.
morning.
Yeah. So, what are you doing here?
No, what do you mean?
Why are you here right now?
Because I work in this building.
Because we're filming the podcast, man.
Oh,
Come
oh,
on.
it's just. I felt like I was getting interrogated there.
I'm trying to get your mind thinking. And so, would you say you're feeling a little bit interrogated because you've been working so hard recently?
Yeah, I mean, I work 6 days a week.
I work 6 days a week.
Yeah, it's painful, right?
It is painful, and that can sometimes lead to a what is it?
You know when you light a flame and then it burns out.
Oh, you're burning out, bro. You shone too bright too soon, and you're all burning out. Yeah, so if you haven't understood at this point, we're talking about burnout today, and for those who don't know what a burnout is, it's basically a state of being overworked, being fatigued, tired, depressed, suffering with self-doubt, drained, and defeated.
And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Essentially, you have no energy to carry you onwards, and the thing is, it starts to affect you physiologically,
Yeah,
psychologically,
yeah,
and emotionally.
yeah.
A lot of early.
I don't love it, but I love how you just listen to things off, and I'm just like, same wavelength, brother. But yeah, burnouts are something that are extremely common and have surprisingly become even more common, especially
COVID. Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
To a point where 75% of workers will suffer with burnout.
Mm-hmm.
I think the statistic is 40% of them saying it was due to the pandemic.
Interesting.
And then also burnouts worsening
Wow.
due to, and 60% saying they've worsened due to the pandemic as well. So there's been an increase, and also the level of which is higher. And I imagine that's because people being stuck inside, not getting out as much, not having that social connection, not having somebody else to get things off your chest to, probably.
But also, I suppose for a lot of these things, people were working their 8 hours a day at home with no going outside, and with a lot of them, they were getting overworked.
I mean, imagine living on your own as well.
Oh gosh.
When I was in lockdown, I lived on my own in Maidstone, in a tiny studio apartment,
Yeah.
which was no bigger than the room we're recording in now, with a kitchen and a bed and hardly any room to move about, and a shared bathroom, and it was horrendous.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine. I can imagine why people had burnout at that point as well.
It's probably quite draining.
It is quite draining, and the other thing is, the UK alone, 46% of the population suffers with burnout.
Wow.
Isn't that just like a screaming sign that something needs to be done about this?
Well, I suppose, have you heard about the 4-day work week that's now coming round?
Very popular.
I wonder whether that's going to be the next step for that to occur. And I think that's an interesting concept, because if people have that extra day, they're not having to sort of come back to work life so quickly.
Yeah.
You kind of go on a Saturday and you say, okay, Saturday I'm breaking off all the loose ends and I'm trying to relax. Sunday I'll try to relax, make the most out of it, and then by then Monday's back and you're having to go 100 degrees constantly.
100 degrees.
100 miles an hour.
100 miles an hour, 100 degrees. I just turned slightly.
Yeah.
Gradual gradient change.
I'm a little bit harder.
I think we both thought different degrees. You're thinking temperature, and I'm thinking. Okay. Anyway, I mean, I've experienced the 4-day work week, but that was because I burnt out initially.
Yeah.
And I burnt out bad.
I remember you telling me, and that's when you first came out of uni and you kind of thought, I need to jump on it.
Money.
Exactly, and trying to make ends meet and doing the best that you can do to try and make your career the best possible career that you can make.
Exactly. Get experience. So I was working 5 days a week in clinic, some of those being half days, but the days that I was doing half days, I was also lecturing, like assistant lecturing at the uni. So I was working 8 to 8, 6 days a week, even on a Saturday. Saturday's finishing at 5, but that was still an hour drive back home for me, so I wouldn't get home till late.
Jeez.
And I just found out I was having no social life, and I was also getting up for the gym at 4:30 every morning. going to bed at like 10, waking up again at 4:30, and just living off caffeine at this point. I started drinking coffee. Never had coffee before, and I was drinking pre-workout, so I was buzzing all the time. And it wasn't until I knew my sleep was bad and I looked unhealthy. Physically, I felt pretty fit. I was going to the gym all the time, but I knew it was bad when we were teaching the students how to take blood pressure, and I said, right, practice on me. Here's my arm. Take my blood pressure, and they came back with a result of 190 over 110, 120, and I was like, wow, that's wrong.
Pretty crazy.
You listening to what we're teaching here? Yeah. Another student come up, they did the same. It got to a point where I was like, you're getting it wrong. Surprisingly, all very similarly wrong. But so I got the another lecturer to take it for me, and he was like, this is bad. We also found out I had palpitations going on. My heartbeat was out of rhythm and stuff like that, and it was like, geez, I need to stop. So I quit working at the uni, and about 2 months after that I went to working 4 days a week out of one clinic and just going to the gym late at night, and it had massive effects. But that was because I had other symptoms going on, such as like insomnia, anxiety, depression. I was getting ill quite a lot. I was getting indigestion and digestive issues as well, which is never fun, and I was in pain quite a lot.
So those are the common symptoms even in the general public, where you are getting IBS and you're getting fatigue and you're getting nausea, anxiety, insomnia. Those kind of things are predominantly due to the autonomic nervous system being affected the way it is, and the lack of parasympathetic overdrive occurring from a day-to-day basis. So your sympathetic system is constantly hitting you and smashing you. The autonomic system's then going to have an impact from that because you're never relaxing. And because you're never relaxing, you're not able to drop that autonomic activity and sympathetic activity.
Massively. And again, if like you're constantly in that sympathetic state, you're just releasing adrenaline into the body, cortisol, so you're not getting that relaxation period. And again, that's what leads to insomnia, because it's that overthinking that I've got to run away, I've got to fight them.
Dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, all at an all-time low.
Exactly. So there's been points where I have taken things like sertraline and gone into that kind of stuff. But my favourite thing I remember from uni is hugs. They're the key. Yeah. Obviously in lockdown, not seeing as many people. You live
zero hugs.
Yeah, 0 hugs, man.
Yeah. I was single during lockdown, so it was pretty bad.
See, I was in a relationship during lockdown, and by the end of the time we came out of lockdown, we'd been in lockdown longer than we had been together. So it was kind of like, dude, if we survive that, we can survive anything. That relationship's over.
Sad times.
But anyway,
moving on.
But yeah, burnout is serious. So I've had that experience, and I've had these list of symptoms that we've kind of just gone through just now a little bit. But I know you work incredibly hard, and even when you're not working, you're working. Yeah. So have you ever suffered with burnout, or have you ever experienced it, or is part of you kind of going, I'm going to experience it soon?
So I'm on the latter side of things. I think, you know what, I will probably keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. So at the end of, this is my experience, right? Around September last year, I found that I was really getting busy. Really getting busy, and I was working on my other projects on the side, and it was slowly creeping up on me that I didn't have any time to myself. So I used to start work at around 9 and then finish at around 9.
Natural born hustler.
Yeah.
Game respects game.
Yeah, and that was essentially going on 2 to 3 days a week.
Wow.
So it got to a point where I used to just go home and do lots and lots of sighs, and I used to go and see my partner at the end of the evening, and occasionally just sort of cry, because I used to feel so overwhelmed, going, you know what, is this going to stop? And to be honest with you, he gave me the perspective of, look, you're looking at things from such a big perspective. Look at it from from little bite-sized. Tomorrow you've got a day off, and then whatever it is, the next day you've got a couple of gaps here and there. You can go to the gym, you're still healthy, you're still fit, you're still going along quite nicely. I think you're allowing it to overwhelm you because you're looking at your calendar and you're going, I've got no time whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do start to appreciate and you look forward to that little hour off and you make sure that you prioritize that you do have that hour off, it makes a whole difference. But I feel like I'm going to burn out at some point.
Yeah, it's how you look at it as well. As long as you're doing it and you're enjoying it, that's a massive factor as well. Because it wasn't until summer last year that I finally went, and I realised to myself I need to take more breaks. Because I've finally gone back to working about 5-6 days a week now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of that I've finally taken the point to go, I need to make sure I give myself breaks. Because up until summer last year, over the course of 3 years, I've only ever given myself in total, since I started working, 3 weeks off. And they've never just been a solid week out. That's been like a day here or there.
Yeah.
And that's not including bank holidays and stuff. So I never take time off work, because as self-employed as well, you go, if I'm not working, I'm not making money.
And if you're not making money, you start to go, oh my god, I'm going to be broke, I'm going to lose my home, and I'm going to be homeless and everything.
And this is why it comes to when you mention the 4-day work week, that I kind of go, nice for some who are on a salary.
Yeah.
If again you're working on your own, you've constantly got that running through your mind, and that therefore produces stress. That leads to anxiety.
Yeah.
That can lead to, funnily enough, all these burnout kind of symptoms.
Yeah. It's why my goal is, career-wise, get famous and then act like I don't know. Nobody. I want to gain passive income, so try and have as many projects as possible, so that at some point they all start to become very passively running, and I start to make profit out of each and every single one of those companies, and then slowly be able to retire at the bright old age of 22.
What a guy. 22? The bright old age of 22. So you're going to go back, you're going to become so rich you go back in time.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah. All jokes aside, that is the goal for me. I think
you're working towards it very smoothly as well.
And to be honest with you, it's probably the thing that's stopping me from burning out. It's the realization of, you know what, I work hard now, it may be a couple of years, but then I'll look back and I'll go, that was worth it, because now I'm sitting back and I'm traveling and I'm doing the things that I love without having to worry about income, without having to worry about anything, because I took those steps to make the most out of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as well it comes into other people and into other perspectives of what other people have got going on in their lives as well. Like you have this mental drive to go for these things. And now I'm definitely not saying like maybe you don't suffer with anxiety or depression or anything like that. Anyone can suffer with that. But some people are more prone to suffering from those things. And those things can hold people back a lot. Again, I know from personal experience. But it's also because a lot of people don't have an outlet to get these things off their chest. So as you said, like, you would go home sometimes to your partner and cry and be like, oh my gosh, and then, you got that shoulder to cry and that supportive surrounding for you to go like, okay, somebody's listened to me, I feel better now, I can go and carry on, because at least I've got what's pressured on me, on my chest. But especially with a lot of men, it's a stereotypical thing of like, no, I've got to just carry on and not talk about my feelings.
And it's why men have the highest suicide rate in the world.
That doesn't get talked about enough. But,
So mental health is massive. So one of the things that I used to do in university was, whenever I'd see anyone who was a bit sad or a bit down, our university was fantastic at that.
I think that's good as an osteopath. That's one thing you have to be good at, is that empathy aspect, knowing these things.
So whenever I used to be a little bit sad, people used to notice and go, no, we used to be open. We used to say, look, I'm not too happy, and they'd immediately speak about it and go, okay, let's sit down, let's talk. So it was fantastic as a university for people to go, you know what, we learned that actually men don't speak about their feelings enough, so let's try and make that difference. And kudos to everyone in my university for that. They were fantastic.
And again, it's like that's a small minority of people doing that. Whereas
find yourself that group.
As like, I could go to some of my friends back home in Southampton, and I imagine it'd be very different to all my osteopathic friends who, I'd like to say we're quite open. I know I'm very open about how I feel.
You're very open.
I mean, like, because, as long as the person you're talking to is somebody you trust and you know that they'll listen, I feel like it's just so important to have these conversations.
Yeah. I mean, the people you trust the most are the ones with the same initials as you, so it's natural.
Yeah. Wow, GG.
GB. Oh yeah.
Great Britain,
GG.
So I need to have a clinic called Great Britain.
Yeah.
Like, no, not Great Britain, GB, so it's
GB.
like GB osteopathy, and they go, oh, that's Great Britain osteopathy. It's like, catch it.
All of the races coming over to your place be like, only Brits come to this place?
Yeah, oh gosh.
Moving on.
Swiftly on. But yeah, burnout is a serious effect, but we've mentioned there one route that you can go down to help relieve that feeling, that factor, some of the predisposing factors to it, such as your emotions. But a lot of people, won't get relief from maybe talking to somebody. Yes, it can help, but maybe it's not enough for some people. And I also think in a way we maybe live in a society where some of us are too quick to go for the medication aspect route as well. A lot of people will phone up and say, oh, I'm feeling depressed, and they'll be stuck on medication straight away. And I was actually speaking to a psychologist, and also I've spoken to GPs about it as well.
Yeah.
And some people come out of a relationship. Obviously, it's very upsetting for the first week, but will go straight to the doctor saying, I need some form of sertraline, citalopram, something just to help me manage my emotional feelings because I feel so depressed. But it's like, we've got to remember that, you are, first of all, allowed to feel down. It's a natural emotion. Sadness is a thing, and it sucks. Heartbreak sucks. But I would always say maybe try going the non-medicalized route first, so that you're not just hiding and burying these feelings, because if you hide and bury them, classic, they always come back up.
And the issue with that is once you've gone down the medication route, you are completely dependent. Like, as much as you want to say that you're not going to be, I'm sorry to say, as soon as you see the benefits of how amazing these medications are, you will jump back on it.
And you don't have to put any work in.
Yeah, you just take that little pill and then that's it. I don't need to go see a psychologist, I don't need to see a counsellor. I just take that pill and then I'm all sorted.
But the same thing going, that's not us saying don't do that. If you
no.
obviously need to
if
do
it's
that.
needed, yes, do it.
But I would always kind of recommend trying a non-medicated route first. That's not with everything, obviously. But especially early on, if you start to feel these things building up, just, again, speak to somebody. Don't have that fear of, I wonder what they're going to think of me.
Yeah, and actually, I think we had a conversation yesterday where you didn't want to, we wanted to converse, and you were a bit hindered. And then my first question to you, which was, do you feel as though if you told me this, that I'd see you in a different light? I think that's a big worry for some people. Yeah. Which actually it shouldn't be.
Exactly, and what I told you was like, no, not at all.
Exactly.
Right? It's just
natural.
This is like a normal kind of feeling, but I was like, yeah, man. But it was nice to speak to somebody about it.
And just being able to open up your feelings and going, you know what, this is what I'm going through. How do you feel about it?
I'm going through some stuff right now. I'm burning out, bro. I'm burning out.
Yeah. Anyways, there are different other components to burnout because you could get something called chronic fatigue syndrome. Ooh. So there are different types of it. We have gone into chronic fatigue syndrome.
Sorry.
We have gone into chronic fatigue syndrome in our previous episodes. So if you do want to listen to some information about that, I think it was the episode on breathing
with Mr. Daniel Collis himself, the vice president of the.
I think that was episode number 9 or 10.
9.
So
fire.
Yeah, worth listening to. I think that was an amazing episode.
Yes.
But at the same time, chronic fatigue syndrome is increasing massively ever since COVID.
Yes.
So I think when people want to say causation versus correlation, I think with COVID and all of these mental health issues, there is a huge causation factor, which we cannot dismiss. There was a huge isolation component to COVID where we were not allowed to leave our homes. There was a lot of breakups, a lot of emotional factors. It's bound to be quite psychologically heavy.
Yeah, and I mean, even now, I think people are still struggling to come out back out into the real world and socialise again because they've been so starved of it for so long. And I still have patients come in and tell me that, you know, they still don't feel comfortable going out to social events, especially if it's not held outside. And it's kind of like, wow, what a change, because before that you wouldn't, because we're such social creatures.
Yeah.
But now I think a lot of people not fear-mongering, but feared into leaving the house, and some people are still struggling to get over that, especially if you've got a health condition.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you've got no one to rely on or depend on, or a nice little group of support, I think that makes it even more harder.
Yeah, even more harder.
More harder.
More harder.
Yeah.
And going on about the pain aspect as well, like with stress and anxiety, we know that increases chronic pain as well. So yeah, exactly, making pain more centralized, but also more focal, more aware of it, more aware of our bodies. Again, if you're constantly pumping blood to the muscles and engaging them, they're going to become fatigued and strained after a while, hence chronic fatigue. But not only that, I think 60 to 65% of population who suffer with burnout will say a lot of them get headaches. Most common one being a tension type headache, which if you've experienced is not a nice sensation, because it is literally feeling like somebody's got your head in a vice and they're clamping it.
Yeah, it's a terrible feeling. I've had it a couple of times.
I'm not surprised with the amount of work that you do.
Yeah, so to me, whenever I get tension headaches, I kind of I just start massaging my neck the entire time. I'll go for a couple of minutes just massaging it and nothing helps. And that's when I just kind of go, you know what? Ibuprofen. I need to.
Yeah.
I need to. It just gets to a point where I'm in need of that at that moment, because I'll come back home after work and I'll just go, I can't stand it.
But it's also like when you get that kind of tension and stress, your body's first instinct with anything is we've got to protect the vital organs. So in this case, if you get pain up in your head, it goes like we've got to protect the brain. So what do? You hoik your shoulders up, your neck muscles become tight because you're trying to
hold everything there.
Exactly, and that's going to cause aches, pains, and even cervicogenic headaches.
And when you're looking at it from a physiological point of view, when you do have that increased cortisol, what it also does is it decreases your pain threshold. So what we're doing is we're creating this spiral of pain, whereby whenever you are getting in this chronic fatigue sort of presentation, you're constantly bursting out cortisol. That pain sensitivity is increasing with the pain threshold going down, so headaches tend to be a lot more painful.
Damn, Daniel.
Yeah.
Back again with the wet bands.
So if you guys know us, we literally speak in memes. I mean, Dan, it was the first time I met Dan, and George has known Dan for a couple of years. He literally turned around to George and said, "You guys just speak in memes."
We do. I think we probably text more, sending each other memes than actually having conversations half the time.
Pretty much.
And now they're starting to slowly seep their way into the podcast as well. So, you know,
enjoy it.
We're making everyone more woke.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, this podcast is what we like, and this is our quote: casually professional.
I even put it on. Yeah, it's on the board. I forgot to put it on the board as well. Smashing it.
See?
Absolutely smashing it.
Casually professional.
Casually professional.
Watch, it's going to be on a shirt soon.
Oh yeah, that'd be
if anyone steals that idea, I swear to God, they're getting sued.
Yes, straight up, copyright that, okay? But yeah, keeping it casually professional.
Not suing anyone.
Not suing anyone. Yeah, we love all our viewers. We do, genuinely. So headaches, terrible. But again, that's where osteopathy can step in and help. Because the amount of times I've been observing a patient who's either coming with shoulder or neck pain or headaches, and you look at them standing there, you can see their shoulders are hoiked up, their traps are as tight as anything, their suboccipitals are really tight, they're getting tired behind the eyes, and you just go, and I'm standing there sometimes, and I put my hands on their shoulders, obviously saying like, going to contact your shoulders, yes. Put my hands on their shoulders and go, relax. Instantly you see their shoulders drop down, they go, oh my God, I didn't even realise and I'm like, this is how, and then, you know, after talking to them a bit, I go, you know, is there any stress going on at home or in life at the moment? Obviously, if I feel comfortable, knowing if I think they'll feel comfortable with me asking that, I always say, like, if you don't mind. And a lot of time they'll go, yeah, you know, work stressful, or your kids are stressful, or, you know, stuff are going on at home, or family related issues. And as soon as they kind of start talking about it, you can suddenly just feel those muscles relax a little bit.
And that's the power of talking.
And the power of touch as well.
And just being able to reassure the patient that they're in a safe space.
And this is why, again, the power of touch is so important as well. Because earlier I mentioned briefly hugs, you know, and the reason I meant, obviously we're not going around hugging patients, but if you're ever feeling, hi there, if you're ever feeling low, it's actually recommended that you should be having 10 hugs a day, because from the power of touch and hugging, your body releases naturally dopamine and sertraline, which is your feel good, not sertraline, yeah, it just releases serotonin. That's what I was looking for. Sertraline's the medication. It releases serotonin and dopamine, which is your feel good hormones. So it actually can make you feel better, and they suggest that if you have 10 hugs a day, that's enough for your daily quota.
Nice.
Because it also makes you feel safe when somebody.
Yeah, it's
because it's not threatening. Hug. Yeah, but as long as it's not doing like, get back here, give me a hug.
Yeah. It's got to be a good hug. It's got to be a good hug. But I mean, like, I reckon for a lot of people that is so difficult, and with age it gets more and more difficult.
And if you don't have anybody, like if you don't have like maybe a friend that you feel comfortable.
You know how you were saying when you burned out and you didn't have a social life. I mean, I don't have a social life anyways.
but that's the crazy. Again, that's the crazy thing. Like, you know, my best friends were miles away, and like, no social life. Girlfriend was miles away at the time as well, and you are just there going like, gosh, I've got no outlet. My family's miles away, so it's just you on your own. And when you've got that, you enter that routine loop, that constant loop of it's not going to get better. It's going to stay the same. I've just got to keep slugging through it.
Yeah,
and that's not good.
No, it's not good. And I think the main kind of message that we want to push forward in this podcast is, number one, it is okay to not be okay.
Whoa.
And number two, it is very important to speak, open up. Remember, the only way you're ever going to resolve anything is if you allow other people or yourself to resolve it.
Yeah, do it with somebody you trust, or go to somewhere, pay to see somebody, therapist who you know is just going to open up and listen. And remember, not all therapists may be right for you either. It may take a couple sessions to try and find the right one for you, but it is incredibly important that we talk about these things and get these things off our chest as well.
Number three. And I think this is probably the most important one. is to just be trustful. Just be trustful that things will get better. And I think the reason why I want to push that forward is because for a lot of people, they feel as though they've lost hope. And the reality is, hope is never lost. There's always going to be someone that's been in a much worse state than you are.
Oh, massively.
And what you can do is just look after yourself and be able to understand that it is going to get better, only if you allow it to get better. And it is okay for you not to be okay.
And if you talk to somebody, likely they've been through something similar, because a lot of people because common things are common.
Yeah.
You know.
It's just, today's...
Sprinkle that one on your fuzz. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, common things are common, and like, you know, people may not deal with it the same way, but they've had a similar experience. And when you start to open up, talk about these things, you can find potentially solutions, or even just saying it and going. And once you hear it yourself, you go, yeah, wait a second, what am I actually worried about? You know, it's actually that simple.
Yeah.
But you hear somebody goes, yeah, that's nothing. And also, you've got to remember though, like, yeah, as I said, talk to somebody that you trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't talk to someone who just completely drops what you've told them and goes, oh yeah, that's nothing. It's like, okay, you just got to turn around and go, you're the last person I'm ever going to talk to now.
Yeah. Speak to a real one, Majid.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, that is the end of the episode. Keep it casually professional.
And don't burn out. Give yourself a holiday. It's okay to take a break.
Indeed. And ciao for now.
Ciao for now.